All right, welcome back, everyone. It's Friday, February 23rd. I got Cody Evers on, and we met first time in person at the Vegas one rental at a time event, and I want to get him on my channel because he's doing some amazing things out there. So welcome, Cody.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it was great to meet everybody at the ORA event. Still recovering a little bit, but it was a lot
Yeah,
of fun. I can't
yeah,
wait to go back in 25.
yeah. Well, I'm recovering, getting back to Hawaii. So why don't you tell my audience, what market you're in or where you're at, and kind of how that's going.
Yeah, I'm in Northeast Wisconsin, so yeah, a little bit of a trip to Vegas too. I think that's probably the middle point for us. But yeah, I have 16 units. Most of those are duplexes, but I also have a single family and then a laundromat as well.
Cool, cool. So I just want to clarify this. So in the video, it looks like me and Cody are the same height, but in person, Cody's probably like three times my size. I just want to put that out there. But on the video, it's going to look like we're the same height.
Yeah, you're definitely a third my size, maybe a half, but probably closer to a third.
Yeah. And if the inside joke is I kept calling him big country. He's like, "Oh, I'm not from the country, man." Yeah.
I mean, do I like the wooded areas, forests, and all that kind of stuff? Of course, but it's not like I live in a town of 200 people either. So
Well, cool. So yeah, let's kind of dig deep into your portfolio a little bit and what you're working on and maybe what struggles you're facing right now. But so you said 16 properties you said or 16 doors you said?
16 units, yeah. So
16
most of
unit.
them are duplexes.
And was that always the strategy going into? Was the multifamily route or
Yeah, I would say in our area, the small multi, 2 to 4, definitely cash flow a little bit better. So, but they're easier to get financing. And my strategy was house hacking. So we're actually on our fourth house hack in 4 years. So that's been our big strategy to kind of keep going. And then we kind of bought some as we went along. Used a couple other strategies, but that was probably our biggest one that moved the needle.
so you currently still have a W-2, correct?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what is that in right now?
So I'm a compliance officer for a bank.
Okay, cool. And so banking, you'd probably see more like stock related, that type of investment. So how'd you get into the real estate side?
Um, so a couple years ago, I kind of realized that in order to retire early, um, I'm gonna have to take a different approach than the stocks or mutual funds, just because you just need a larger income, in my opinion, to be able to dump a ton of money into the stock market. And if you don't make two, three, 400 grand, you can't get it done in 10 years or less, unless you're like living on 20%, which is crazy. And I I want to live a little bit now, but also live a good life in the future too. So I wanted to find that balance, and then real estate kind of was able to solve both of those. So you hear a lot, you can get it done, 5 to 10 years, and that was I started when I was 28, 29, somewhere in there. So hopefully to get it done before 40 is kind of my main goal.
Nice, nice. So, I mean, was it like a certain book or how'd you come across real estate? I guess I know you're talking about leveraging and whatnot, but was there a certain book or someone else in your circle that was investing in real estate?
There was no one else in my circle. It was definitely like I just was thinking about other opportunities and just decided to like look up real estate investing like on Google and found the Bigger Pockets podcast was kind of how I started. And then I listened to like every podcast from the beginning. That was back in like 2018, something like that. And since then, watched the One Rental at a Time, Dion Talk, all those kind of guys, and just kind of keep learning and keep improving from there.
And so how did the house hacking come into play since, that's kind of a more newer term. I mean, people have been doing it for a long time, but it's getting a more common, I guess practice. But how'd you get along that path?
Um, I've seen. I watch a lot of content. I work remotely, so I literally listen to podcasts 8 hours a day, pretty much. If I'm not in a meeting, I have it on in the background, and that was seemed to be like the biggest thing to change your financial future. And so we actually lived in the house for 3 years and decided to sell it. And then we moved into an apartment and was able to buy a duplex with those funds. And then after that, we kind of just did that every year after that.
Nice. So, I mean, as far as like house hacking, is this going to be the strategy moving forward? Like, how many house hacks do you want to get up to? Because, we met at the event, Jeff and Suleika, I believe they're on their seventh house hack. And there's also an agent in Pittsburgh that I know. He thought he was the GOAT. He thought he was at seven. He thought he was the most. But now I told him, hey, I reached out to him today, actually. I was like, hey, I met someone that's at seven and they want to do 10. So he's like, what? But so what is so you said you're on their fourth one, correct?
Yes.
So what is, yeah, where do you think you're going to end up at?
I would like to do a bunch more. It probably depends on what the family wants to do. So we're buying side by side duplexes that has a lot of space and 3 bedrooms, and so we've kind of set that up for being able to live comfortably. If we can keep doing that, I'd be fine to keep continuing that. But I know my wife at some point wants to buy a house, so we just gotta decide when it's time to do that.
So it sounds like, I mean, you're heading down the right path. You're probably going to get there by 40. And it just seems like everything is going super smooth, right? You got all these duplexes and you're house hacking. And you said you had a laundromat, I believe. And so is it just easy? Nothing, no problems?
I definitely would say no, but I had like probably the hardest, 6 to 9 month span that I've had so far. We had, our units, our portfolio is not very big, but we've had 8 or 9 turnovers in a span of 6 to 9 months, and it's just one after another, just keep going. So then you're missing rent, you're rehabbing, 2 to 3 grand just to fix them up. So, and then the laundromat hasn't been doing the best either. So it's kind of compounding that situation. Plus, we had the student loans start back up. We had my wife is a stay-at-home mom now, so we went down to one income. So there's just a lot of things that hit all at once. So now we're planning on actually selling something to kind of restabilize the portfolio and kind of start fresh.
Well, I always talk about it too on my channel is mistakes. And, a lot of times it's part of the process and I've been there and same thing like you, right? Sometimes, you think you're making a great purchase or, and you don't expect certain things to happen and they all seem to happen at one time a lot of times. And you kind of just got to figure it out. And sometimes like you're doing, right? Maybe you're taking a step back, but that's going to allow you to move forward in the future. And so I'll kind of want to touch on the laundromat. So
Sure.
what made you jump into that?
Probably watching too many Cody Sanchez videos, but I ended up finding this one. I knew the person that was selling it, and it was pretty cheap. It was like 60 grand or something like that, and that included the building too. And the building was in really good shape. But the only issue, well, not the only issue, but the biggest issue is it's in a smaller town, so it's just hard to get the revenue high enough to make it worthwhile. And so when you get expenses to come up, because I'm not a handy person, so I have to hire stuff out. And there just wasn't enough revenue to make up for the different things that would break. And so that's kind of where we're at now is, do we want to hang on to it? Because it is a really good building. Can we change something up, maybe rezone it or something into a single family or duplex or something like that? But we've, or sell it at this point. We just got to figure out what's the best strategy, just because, you know, we're just not getting enough revenue to make up for those expenses. We did like increase revenue quite a bit from when the previous owners had it. There's some strategies, like it was fun to see like strategies work out in a positive way, like 20-30% increases in revenue. It just wasn't enough to offset those expenses, which they were able to, do it themselves and fix it themselves. So that was kind of the bigger mistake on my end.
No, I mean, you said we've all been there, and shoots, man, I think I would have took the opportunity also and see how it went. But yeah, that's part of the process, and I think we were touching on this off camera. That's one of the big takeaways from the event we just got back from was all these successful people that are way ahead of us. I mean, same thing, you all touched on it. They've all had struggles, they've all made mistakes, and that's the one thing is they've figured out how to overcome those challenges. And I think that was great takeaway from the event was being around this community is super helpful, because everyone is headed down this same path, same mindset. But usually, people you might tell this story to about investing in a laundromat, and they'll probably be like, oh yeah, that was stupid, you should quit, be done with it, put your money in an IRA or 401k or something. But in
Right.
this community, right, you're around these people and they're like, oh, what did you think about this, what about this solution, and everyone is trying to help you maybe figure out a different way to approach it. But that's what I loved about going to this event.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think there was a couple of people I talked to about it, and it was like, all right, it may not work as a laundromat, but the building's still in really good shape. So how can you do other things with it? Whether it's could you put it's a big enough lot, so could you put like a mobile home on it? Could you convert it from a laundromat into a duplex or a single family house? Because I bought it for so low, so like just the rent would cover it if it was like a standard two bedroom one bathroom type of a place. So I've been putting some thought into that, but nothing for sure yet. But it is interesting, and my one big thing would be to call out like reserves and make sure you have them, even if it is in retirement accounts. It's just to have that backup is what's allowing me to get through this situation. If I had 2 grand in the bank after having these units, then I'd be struggling. So it's allowed me to not worry about it too much.
I love that. Like I said, this sounds a lot like, my story. I always talk about having proper reserves, and I probably overlooked that a little bit. I mean, like what I thought was adequate reserves.
Yep.
And I think that also comes into play maybe what market you invest in. Because I think what maybe led me to underestimate a little bit was being in Hawaii. Of course, anywhere you invest, you're going to have maintenance issues. But
Yep.
Hawaii, the weather is so nice, and so you don't get maybe a lot, and also the age of the homes.
Right.
So Pittsburgh is an older market, older homes. So there's probably a little more maintenance issues that I should have accounted for. So kind of bit me in the butt a little bit, but yeah, it's a learning process. And but same thing like you. I think that's our story, right? We're always trying to help other people and give them that advice. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it's the one thing is it is cold, cold here, so things break down a little bit more. Whether it's Pittsburgh or Wisconsin, you're going to have those cold spells and too much snow or ice. Something's going to happen that way too. So you kind of just got to prepare for it and have those reserves. So um, yeah, we're probably in similar situations on that end.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about that. You kind of talked about Wisconsin. So maybe what type of market is that? If someone, was to reach out to you, maybe want to pick your brain, want to maybe invest there, would you say it's more of a cash flow market, appreciating market, or
Yeah, so I would say it has a mixture of both here. So we're in the Midwest, so it's not going to be crazy appreciation like the West or East Coast, but it's not going to be terrible appreciation like some of the Rust Belt, cities that sometimes they're under 100 grand. There's very few properties around here that's under 100 grand. So most of like our median's like in the 260, 270 range. So it's not super low, but it's not crazy high either. So I definitely did well on the appreciation side, and then the cash flow wise, you can find things that cash flow here. You just got to find a good deal. There's certainly things that won't cash flow, but overall, it's not bad there. So I think it's a good balance of both. I live in an area of like 250,000 people, so it's not a huge market, but there's still a lot of people that are looking for housing here, and it's a growing area too. And that's the Fox Valley, the Green Bay area of Wisconsin. It's doing pretty well growth wise, and there's definitely some better areas compared to there's there's more rural towns that don't have that same kind of building and that kind of stuff.
So, if a newbie investor or someone wanting to get started reached out to you, like what would be your advice to them, like how to get started or where should they start?
The biggest thing for me is start with the house hack. Like if you can do that first, that would be it. Not only does it lower your expenses, but it gets you on the property ladder, paying down the mortgage, and start getting the appreciation on that asset. And if I could go back in time at 22, I would, start my first one, and I'd have 10 of them by now. Just doing it the house hack strategy. Um, and plus, when you're younger, you can, maybe buy a fourplex and be a little bit more uncomfortable. Versus now, I have a family, so I want to make sure that we have enough bedroom space, enough garage space. We need more space with a family anyway.
Yeah, I think we all say that, right? If we could go back in time, right? I think that's all of us. I think that's a common theme, and yeah. So I think, same thing, right? That's the one thing I keep trying to tell, especially the younger guys at the firehouse, right? Is you know, do it now, get started now, especially if they don't have a family. It's a lot more doable, but well, once you
Mm-hmm.
have that family, it's a little bit more challenging. But yeah, so I love your story. You've talked about some struggles that you've encountered and how you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to fix things. But even with all of that, and even all what's going on in your portfolio, you were still able to travel to Hawaii with the
Yes.
family and
Yep.
Vegas. And so how did you pull that off?
So I've kind of house hacking, and then there's travel hacking is the other way. And I'm not super like dialed in there, but there is enough things that I've been able to do. We were able to go to Hawaii, we were to Vegas. We went to, on our honeymoon. We went to Canada for 10 days, and then greatly reduced our prices on doing that.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Like, I mean, I see a lot of people doing that, and like you're saying, you're not maybe super in the weeds and deep into credit card hacking and whatnot, but even just figuring out part of the process, you're able to, cut expenses or be able to, lower some of the travel expenses. So it can be beneficial. Because like you said too, right? For the flight for you to Hawaii, I mean, you weren't going to be sitting in coach, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a large person. I don't know if the camera can tell, but I don't want to be rubbing shoulders for 9 hours on a plane. So yeah, we were able to fly, first class both ways, and we were able to use credit card points to do that. So there's strategies that you can put in place, and then you kind of accumulate over time, and then use those to kind of pay for not only your flights but also your hotel. So we were able to stay in Hawaii for 10 nights, essentially for free.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest eye opening to me is that there's, like they say, right? There's so many ways to make money or do things, and it's just a lot of times we're not, around these circles, or we're not, it's not taught to us, and it's kind of like, that's how the wealthy and they're all doing it, right? And that's the eye opening thing for me.
Yeah, travel's always been one of my goals to do. The more places I can see in life and bring my family to, the better. So that's been always been a big goal. So when I first heard of the travel hacking and how it operates, and that was 5 years ago now, something like that. And that like changed my life forever. And just being able to, just simple stuff. You go to a wedding or something for one of your friends, and instead of paying $500 for a couple nights stay in a flight, that's for free now. So just small things like that. So that there's not so much stress in trying to figure out where that money's going to come from.
So what's next on the plate for you? I mean, as far, Zuber is very big on everyone trying to build a social media brand or YouTube channel now. So is that anywhere, down the road for you right now?
Not right now. I don't I don't think it's going to be on my plate right now, but at some point maybe. My focus is kind of in the real estate space, and try to keep growing to be able to get financial freedom, and then eventually, maybe down the road to do that. But as of right now, I just don't don't have a desire to do it. But maybe someday we'll keep it open.
Yeah, like a travel hack one, a credit card hack one, and yeah, I mean,
One of my ideas was to do like a double XL travel. So then you kind of see like, okay, what is it like to have a 6'4", 300 pound person in a economy seat, or like, you know, in those smaller seats. So that was
yeah,
one idea I had, but that ain't gonna be anytime soon.
yeah. I'm gonna steal it then.
There you go. Yeah, uh,
I'm gonna
double
the
extra small.
yeah, extra small. Well, you kind of touched on it earlier too. You love listening to podcasts, while you're working, you have it in the background. So I know what you're gonna say, the one rental at a time community, the REI Avengers, Millennial Mike, Dion, Lumberjack,
Yeah.
Zuber. So not including those, like who would you say would be your next maybe ones that are your favorite podcast to listen to?
Well, Zuber puts out too much content to really focus on anybody
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah.
um, I I haven't watched or listened to him too much anymore, but um, like Bigger Pockets used to be a bigger one, but the I don't mind listening to like Alex Hermosi and that kind of content for just kind of punch you in the face, like,
Yeah.
hey, getting stuff done. So I do appreciate that. Other than that, there's a couple other ones like Millionaires Unveiled on Spotify. There's just to kind of see different perspectives on how different people got to millionaire status. So that one's pretty interesting. I think the other one I'll call it is April Crossley, and that's how I kind of found Zuber's channel because I was looking up seller financing information, and she had really good information back 3, 4, 5 years ago, and
Yeah.
then she interviewed Zuber, and that's kind of how I found everything. Probably back in 2020 or so.
Yeah, I don't see her too much now. Yeah, I don't see too
Yeah,
much content from her. Yeah.
yeah, she doesn't really put out too much anymore. So yeah, that was the older stuff, and I really liked it because it actually gave you, how do you present this to a seller versus most other people are just the higher level concepts and don't really get into the actual details of like how to actually present it. So that kind of got me into this other space.
All right. So we also have heard that Michael Zuber is going to have the event again next year,
Yep.
same place, same dates, basically. Who would you like to see as a speaker next year?
Anna Kelly and Greg Dickerson would be the two. If I could if I could just listen to them every day, they just are like so much like knowledge coming out of both of them. So I'd love to see those two for sure.
Yeah, cool. I think that was Sierra Smith from Homes and Hustles. That was
Yep.
also her picks. So yeah, I agree. I enjoy listening to both of them also. But yeah, man, it was great finally meeting you in person in
Yeah.
Vegas and hanging out. And like I said, I think our stories kind of resonate with each other. We on paper it looks like we're doing really well, but at the same time we've encountered some struggles, and
Yeah.
we're trying to get over that. And I think that's what this whole community is all about, is helping each other. And yeah, I love it, man. I love what you're doing. And
Thank you.
like I said, man, you're like, I don't mind going to Vegas with you. You're like, you and Chris are like my bodyguards, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun, man.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll gladly take that. Just don't start hitting people and expecting to
Oh man, yeah, not me. Yeah, maybe Mikey. If Mikey drank enough, then yeah, maybe.
Mikey's like the nicest person of all time, so I don't think that'll
Yeah, yeah.
happen.
Mikey's awesome, man. But yeah, man. I mean, I would say it was nice catching up, but I mean, I kind of just saw you recently, but it
Right.
was good connecting again. I mean, I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, so I'm glad we finally got it done. And
Yeah,
and yeah, man. Thanks for meeting me on here, and we'll do it again, and or hopefully we see each other before Vegas again next year, man.
that sounds good. Yeah, if you're ever in the Midwest, let me know, and hopefully I can get back to Hawaii soon and
Yeah, I
hang
don't know,
out. So,
because you're a Packers fan, right? Aren't you a
oh yeah,
Packers fan? Yeah, man.
what
Yeah,
what
I'm a Bears fan. That's why. So
ooh, that's
yeah,
tough. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. It is. So, but I'm not a front runner when I say I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah. Yep, and yeah, diehard Packers fan. We got season tickets in the family and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm a imposter on that end. So
Yeah, I think I told you. I don't know if I have a couple guys at the fire my station. They are Packers fans also, and it was like
okay,
you know going into the season, we're like, yeah, you guys are done, man. Favre, Rodgers, your Hall of Fame quarterback streak is over, and then now it's like Love is looking like this star. So it's like, what the hell, man? We can't
it
find
took
a quarterback for like 50 years, and then it's like,
it took them a little while, but yeah, the fact that they made the playoffs this year, can't complain. So that was pretty solid.
yeah, maybe I'll just erase this video.
Or just the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, man. Bye.
Yeah, bye.